The human rights organization of Shia Rights Watch has released another monthly report of the anti-Shia movements across the world and explained them in several graphs. This report runs a comparison of the anti-Shia movements in this month and the previous months. It is noteworthy that this report only includes the data that enjoys sufficient verifications by international organizations.
This report will analyze the data compiled on Shia death, injuries, and the arrests that occurred between January 1st and January 31st. This month, there were 140 known deaths within the Shia community. Compared with past month, the death rate has decreased a lot, which is a very good sign for this minority. The only event which concurred in a large death rate was ISIS bombings outside Syria, which left 71 known deaths. However, news released from the Zaria massacre shows 705 people have been declared missing. In January, Shia Muslims were victims in 7 countries: Iraq, Bahrain, Nigeria, Pakistan, Azerbaijan, Saudi Arabia, and Syria. There were a total of 140 deaths this month, 123 wounded, 171 arrested, and an estimate of 705 people declared missing. The biggest news this month was the release of the 705 names of people declared missing after the Nigeria massacre last month. Iraq. This month saw a huge decrease in Shia death in Iraq, with only 55 people being killed, compared with last month, which had 221 deaths. Unlike in past months, Iraq does not have the highest number of Shia death rates, as bombings in Syria resulted in more casualties. The city in Iraq with the most killings was Muqtadiya, with 20 deaths, followed by New Baghdad, Baghdad Taji, and finally Thazis Baghdad. Most of the attacks in Iraq were resulted from bombs include suicide bombers, car bombs, and other bombs. The New Baghdad attack also had instances of gunfire attacks. ISIS later claimed responsibility for the attack on Thazis Baghdad, but no one has claimed responsibility for the other attacks in Iraq as of now. Bahrain. This month saw a huge increase on the amount of Shia Muslims arrested in Bahrain, with a total of 163. All of these arrests were sanctioned by the state, with the unfair arrests being done by the Bahraini government, the Bahraini security forces, and the Bahraini judicial system. The arrest done by Bahraini judicial system was a 15-year extension for people already arrested following peaceful protests against the current regime. This extension was done on the grounds that prisoners were disobeying orders and destroying furniture at Jaw prison. Protests against the current regime have been common since 2011, making arrests a common occurrence in Bahrain. Also, according to the Freedom House report, Bahrain is considered not free, as they recently stripped many Shia Bahraini peoples of their citizenship. Nigeria. Nigeria also witnessed a huge decrease in deaths this month, with only approximately 10 occurring in January. The death this month resulted from a suicide bomb attack on a mosque in Cameroon by Nigerian militant group Boko Haram. Following the Nigerian massacre that occurred last month, a list of 705 names was just released of all the people declared missing following that massacre. However, all that is known is their names, not which of these missing persons are still alive, nor where they are being held. Pakistan. This month, no Shia death occurred in Pakistan, which is great news, but there were 8 people arrested by the Pakistani government. Innocent Shia youngsters and trustees of mosques and imam bargahs have been arrested by police in a raid from Jumada'al-awwal area of Karachi, Pakistan. All of these arrests occurred without any crimes or charges being made, making it a case of police terrorism, as locals have started calling it. Families of the arrested declared the government is demanding 100,000 rupees. Saudi Arabia. January saw a total of 4 deaths and 18 people wounded in Saudi Arabia. This was an increase from last month, in which neither death nor injuries occurred. The attack was due to a suicide bomber that targeted the Imam Rida Mosque, a Shia Muslim mosque located in the eastern province town of Mahsen. No official claims of responsibility have been made, but this attack mirrors past ones by ISIS, making the Islamic State a strong contender. Security forces prevented the bomber from being allowed inside the mosque, but he blew himself up right outside of it, killing 4 people with him. Syria. This month, a total of 71 people were killed and about 100 were injured following bombings claimed by ISIS near a revered Shia shrine, Sayyidah Zainab, outside the Syrian capital Damascus. Last month, Syria was not listed as a place which targeted Shia Muslims, which is a bad sign for the month of January. According to witness statements, there were either 2 or 3 bomb explosions, the first a suicide car bomber, and the following one suicide bombers which released bombs into a huge crowd. Conclusion. As a whole, the number of Shia Muslims being targeted in January 2016 has exponentially decreased, which is a good sign for Shia Muslims across the globe. However, there is still a lot of work that needs to be done to make sure this group is completely safe as they have still been dealing with murders, unlawful arrests, injuries, and other instances of anti-Shia behavior by both the governments as well as militant terrorist groups such as ISIS and Boko Haram. It is upsetting to note that many of the bombs this month were set off during peaceful protests and mosque services. The Shia Rights Watch hopes that attacks against the Shia population will continue in this downward trend. The organization also wishes for the safe release of the 705 people declared missing following the Nigerian massacre.